Welcome everyone to Cultivate Prana's Masterclass, where we share methods, techniques, and wisdom from the path and practice of yoga so you can apply them to master your health, relationships, and business. I'm your host, Dimodar Narayan, and my guest speaker today is Martin Jones. Martin has been a practitioner in the healing arts for over 3 decades. As well as being a healer and craniosacral therapist, Martin ran a Tai Chi and Qigong school. In 2002, whilst very ill with Lyme disease, he channeled a new breathwork modality, which he called holographic breathing. Holographic breathing helped Martin recover from Lyme disease, and he has taught this breathwork ever since. Today, Martin will share with us a background of holographic breathing, how to practice holographic breathing, and how to use it to drop into meditation and self-healing. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Dhirendra. Lovely to meet you. Great.
So let's begin with what we're going to learn from you today.
Okay, so I'll give a little bit of background about how holographic breathing came through, the story behind that, and then I'll just teach you how to do holographic breathing. If people want to do it live with me, I run free webinars once a month, and you can see that on my website, holographicbreathing.com. But you should be able to learn holographic breathing from this interview and have something you can take away and practice and use it in your life.
Well, lovely, Martin. So before we go there, give us a little bit background. I'm very intrigued when you said you had in 2002, you had Lyme disease. So talk us through the story of how that happened, and then how breathwork, this new modality that came to you, how has that helped you with Lyme disease and just with your life?
Well, I was in India, in Pune in 2006, and I got bitten by a tick there, and I think I got Lyme's disease from that. And also about 6 months later in Germany, I also got the same thing. So I think I actually got two tick bites and a double dose of Lyme's disease, as it were, maybe 2 different strains. And I didn't know that I had it. And, you know, I was a successful Tai Chi and Qigong practitioner, and I taught a lot of breathing within that, with breathing exercises in Qigong. So I was already well versed in working with the breath. And about 7 years later, my school was over. I was pretty well bedridden. It felt like I was dying. I had no idea what I had, and nobody could really tell me what I had. Hang on, these are a bit unbalanced. And I was getting pneumonia. I never wasn't ill. Whatever I had was destroying my immune system, and it just felt like it was killing me. And that's what a lot of people, I'm going to take these off for a bit. That's what a lot of people with Lyme's disease say. They say, well, it's not so much tiredness. It feels like you're dying. It feels like you're being killed or something. Mm. And one night I just thought, I can't beat this disease, whatever it is. And I thought, I'll let it take me. I'm going to put them back on just in case you say something. I'll let it take me, and I'll ask not to die, and I just lay in bed and just breathed. And it started off like tiredness, and then it was like dying. It was like the waves of death, and it just came in waves and waves. The tiredness went, and there was this experience of dying. And until it was as if I had died, and there was this kind of very pristine space. And there were divine beings there, but not like I would have normally thought of divine beings. They were just really quiet. There were no wings or choirs of angels or anything, but they were big. They were really big, but just quiet, still, and kind of very wise. And then slowly I just dropped out of that and came back. And after that, for about 2 months, my Kundalini went off. And that's quite scary when that happens, because the Kundalini drives through the brain. It's a bit like a change of reality, and it feels like you're losing your mind. But the Lyme's disease left in that. It was like I was healthy, but I was completely off my head. And coming down from that, I was just sitting, meditating, and I'd been practicing breathing into this area. And at a certain point, there was just this blinding flash of light. This pressure through the meditation was building and building. And at a certain point, there was this huge release and blinding flash of light. And it wasn't just light, it physically drove through my face and down into the jaw. It actually felt like my teeth were coming out of my sockets. It was really a potency to it. And as all that energy came into the jaw, pulled my lips together, and the tongue rose up on the roof of the mouth. And on the in-breath, very gently, the jaw was opening. Very gently, the jaw was closing. It opened up this whole modality where the lips were closed and the tongue was on the roof of the mouth, but the jaw was gently moving within that. And this whole motion and energy started moving through my face, through my brain, through my skull, and then down through my whole body. And this modality was unlike anything. I'd done all the different breath works I know about. I'd kind of at one stage or other done them, but this was somehow totally different. And I could just feel these waves of energy moving through me, and I could feel this spiritual connection. It's like a spiritual breath work. It had the connection to the earth. It had a physical dynamic and an energetic dynamic. And it had this connection into the higher energies. I'm thinking, what has happened? What is that? And it was like I'd always known it. I'm quite a wise person. About 6 months before, I was quite ill, and I was still doing a bit of healing. I could do healing, and people were happy with that. And he did a bit of testing afterwards. He said, "Oh, you're going to bring through a new form of healing, and you're going to be a world teacher from it. It's going to travel all around the world." And I said, yeah, I was thinking, well, yeah, I can barely walk, let alone do that, because I was quite ill at the time. But it was quite accurate what he said. And about a week after that, I got the diagnosis of Lyme's disease, and I knew people with that, and I knew the scenario, because it's very much like MS or Parkinson's disease or dementia. The whole nervous system goes and you start shaking, and you do lose the plot with Lyme's disease because it does attack the neural tissue. And I listen to people with Lyme's disease, and it's not just that they're in pain and feel like there's this neurological thing going on, that they're in such distress. It's so upsetting to see. And that was kind of where I was heading. And I knew the treatments the doctors can give you in England. The only proper center for Lyme's disease is intravenous antibiotics for 6 months, and that doesn't get rid of the Lyme's disease. Once you stop, the Lyme's disease comes back. So I knew the scenario, And it was like I felt like I was down in this hole, and I felt like I'd been given this little bit of straw to pull up with. And with holographic breathing, there is this effect that you can work with the face, because the motion starts in the face and it expands through the cranium and through the brain, that you can actually work with the brain and with the cranial fluid and the energies of the brain. And as I worked with that, I could just feel these toxins really, and I was surprised because I had this image that the brain finds it hard to detoxify, but it was really releasing out through and easily through my whole nervous system. And I stopped being so ill so much. It's also inflamed. It all gets inflamed with Lyme's disease. The inflammation was dying down. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough today. And it wasn't instant, but I started going in the opposite direction. I started getting better than getting worse. And I also got a bit of help from a homeopath. I still get tired. I mean, it's 25 years now since I first got bitten. I think it was, 24 years. I still get tired, and it took quite a while to properly get over it. But you look at somebody who's had Lyme's disease for 25 years, or they're either dead or just gone, you know. So, and I started teaching the holographic, because before I taught Tai Chi, there's this internal movement and energies to holographic breathing. So for me, it was like an internal Qi Kung or an internal Tai Chi, where you weren't doing any movement at all, but you could feel the movement happening. And also with as a cranial, I did 2 cranial sacral training, so I had that ability to sense through my body, and I could feel the energies moving. And I've been mapping out those different energy systems and the movement of the breath and teaching that for the last, well, ever since then, kind of 15, 18 years. And it's just starting. I don't think anyone had any idea how to be with it before, or that it was just too soon. It's just starting to connect with people now. I think it was just a bit before its time. I had enough students to get by and to teach, but they weren't kind of normal students. They were all teachers. They were all healing practitioners, yoga teachers, Tai Chi teachers, cranial sacral therapists. It was people who were already quite a long way down the line. But now with webinars, I'm finding that it is spreading around the whole globe, and people are starting to talk about it, and people are starting to understand it more, because it is kind of a new modality. You know, everything else that I know of has come out in one way or another from pranayama. And I mean, you're a pranayama person, and have you felt this impact pranayama before?
No, I have not. And it's so, I know you're going to teach us holographic breathing today, but I have practiced with your guidance and also the videos that you have put out on YouTube. And I'll tell you something, that as you were also describing your experience, when you said, when you had that light expansion happen, when you saw something moving or felt something moving in your jaw, your lips open, and your tongue went to the roof, you know, I was reliving that. I was actually doing it as you were describing that to me. So this is how simple it is, and how connected I felt as you are talking to your experience of holographic breathing. But to come to your question on pranayama, I have not experienced that in my learnings of pranayama practices, anything like you have described. This is really personal and being channeled from you to the world.
Yeah,
So one question there, Martin, is before we go further, and I'd love to continue on this conversation and on journey on how you also tap into different energies with this breath work. But why the word holographic?
Okay, I'll just mention one thing before we go into that. I was sure, because it was so simple and so natural, because once it's going, it just naturally connects with the whole breath and all syncs together. I was sure someone else was doing it, and I kept looking around and nobody was doing it. And I asked the channels, because I would wake up in my sleep and I was doing, because hologram, it started and it never stopped for me. And I'll be doing it in my sleep, and I'll wake up out my sleep doing holographic breathing. And there were these guides coming down, teaching me the different inner dynamics and working on me, I guess, to make me ready for my new job. And I asked them, I said, why is nobody doing holographic breathing? It is so simple, and it opens up this whole new world and modality. And they just said, it's evolutionary. It hasn't been time before. Now is the time for it. And from your question, I called it holographic breathing because I wonder, it's a shame I didn't know you were going to ask this question, because I could feel the different energies in the face and the different structures of the face. And it's a bit like the jaw was relating to the pelvis, the tongue was more to do with the abdomen, the roof of the mouth relates, the same shape as the diaphragm relates to the diaphragm. Two big maxillary sinuses here relate to the lungs. The nose, if you look inside the nose, there's 4 cavities like the heart, and then you come up to the eyes and it shifts level, and this is a much bright, so this is more relating to the lower body, this is more relating to the heart and lungs, the eyes more relating to the brain, the nervous system and the intellect. So there was that structure in the face. And then I could feel the same structure in the brain and in the bones of the cranium, how those energies were mapped out in the cranium, and then how that reflected in the brain, and then how that reflected through the whole body and through all the different organs. So it's the same matrix printed over and over, right down to the organs and in a way to individual cells. And then we work with it into the higher self, and there's the like for the fire circuit, it comes through and there's a fire connection into the higher self, and there's a fire connection into the earth. So it's imprinted in the earth and it's imprinted in the heavens as well. So it's this matrix that reflected over and over. And I knew with a hologram, you get the glass plate that the hologram is, the light shines through that to make the hologram. If it, say it's a lady, and you break the sheet in 2 and you shine the light through that, you won't get half a lady, you'll still get a whole lady. And however many, however small that part is, you'll still get a full image of a lady. So it's like fractals, and that's how I saw it. It's all the different parts, and that's how I teach the energies of it. There's part of the fire circuit in the face, part of the fire circuit in the cranium, in the brain, in the torso, in the pelvis, in the arms and legs, in the hands and feet, in the different organs, and they all relate to different levels of the fire circuit, or whichever circuit. There's this whole healing modality that opens in holographic breathing. And I was working with a cranial sacral therapist because I was very ill, and I said, well, this new breathing has started, and I'll do it and you do the session on me. And I would describe, or I would do it, and she would describe back to me she could sense what I was feeling. And she said, yeah, as soon as you start doing it, wave-like motion, this energy happened there, the brain starts getting activated, the brain releases, and feel that releasing through the body. So rather than me say, look, I'm feeling this, this and this, I thought I'll just do it. And because she'd could tune in very well. That is what she sensed. So it wasn't like I was making it up. And I was saying, look, because it's reflected all these times, I'm thinking of calling it holographic this or holographic that, or this breath or that breath. And I was thinking holographic breathing is the one, and I was pretty sure on that. And she just kind of said, yeah, it's holographic breathing. So that's what it got called.
Yeah. No, that's a beautiful story. That's really, like you said, fractals, and that reminded me, you keep zooming into fractals, and it's just a reflection of what you see on a bigger scale. So
Yeah,
we would love to learn holographic breathing and a few meditations from you today. Would you guide us
really.
through
Yeah,
describing the holographic
yeah,
breathing and
yeah,
teaching
yeah,
me and the audience?
yeah. So to start off with, now in holographic breathing, the lips are closed, but relaxed and closed. The tongue is on the surface of the mouth. Now, in a lot of things, they put the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. It's not that, it's the upper surface of the tongue, and it's relaxed and on the roof of the mouth, and as much of that as feels comfortable. So it may be half an inch, the whole tongue. Over a period of time, the tongue becomes very soft and just spreads over the whole and connects all the energy centers. But to start off with, you don't want to stress it at all. So you have what is the most relaxed, and then keeping that in place. Now, we're not going to do it yet. I'm just going to describe it, but have to you, Durendra, and all of the people watching it, while I'm describing it, just have your lips relaxed and closed, have the tongue on the roof mouth, so you become used to that. And within that, what we'll do in the exercise is the jaw gently opens on the in-breath and the gently closes on the out-breath, with the breath through the nose all of the time. And people can find that quite difficult, but what I want you to do is just have your lips closed, have the tongue on the roof mouth, and just start moving your jaw around, like just to notice that you can actually move the jaw and have the lips closed and have the tongue on the roof mouth, because sometimes when we connect it to the breathing, people say, no, this isn't possible. But it is possible. And just be with that to start off with. Have your tongue on the roof of the mouth, the lips relaxed and closed, and the breath through the nose. And I'm going to demonstrate it a bit so you can see that it is just a very fine motion. You may be hardly able to see it, and it takes you into a very meditative place. So I'll just demonstrate it a bit first, just for a few breaths. So very quickly, it takes you into quite a deep and meditative place.
And I couldn't even tell Martin that you were doing it. It's so subtle. And
It's
that's what you're trying to
very
explain.
subtle. It's
Motion is so subtle.
slow, moving with the breath. So it's not a big motion. It's not a cathartic thing or like an exercise. The movement will just join the breath of the rest of your body. So we're going to go through some exercises to learn the holographic breathing, and then at a certain point it will just start and feel natural. But it is important because if you get some of the instructions wrong, then it won't work. So when you've learnt it and it feels natural, you can do it walking, lying down, sitting, however you want to do it. But to actually learn it, it's important to be aware and not fall asleep and miss bits. So it's best to be sitting with your feet on the ground, your spine upright, so you don't actually drop off, because it can get very kind of sleepy, transcendental mode. So, and to follow the instructions, then at a certain point it just clicks in and then it
Yeah.
goes. So, all right, let's start on that then. So closing your eyes, and just, if you know holographic breathing, you can do that, but otherwise just gently breathing through your nose. The lips are closed and the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. And we're going to bring in some resources, sending a smile, sending some energy to the earth, and allow the earth to say hello back. Notice what that feels like through your body. Notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And then sending a smile, sending some energy to the higher self and the beneficial energies. The beneficial energies are any channels you work with, and also your higher self, and allowing the higher self and the beneficial energies to say hello back. Notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And asking the earth, the higher self, and the beneficial energies to be with you through the whole webinar. Gently having your lips closed and relaxed, having your tongue relaxed and on the roof of the mouth, and just gently breathing. And now just start opening and closing the jaw, just a small amount, about half a finger width. And notice you can do that and keep your lips closed and the tongue on the roof mouth, just a small, slow, gentle motion of the jaw. And then as the jaw is gently opening, allowing the breath to come in through your nose. And as the jaw is gently closing, allowing the breath to come out through your nose. So the lips stay relaxed and closed. The tongue stays relaxed and on the roof of the mouth. Gently opening the jaw, and notice how this is like a little pump. It draws the breath in through the nose. And as the jaw relaxes closed, it exhales the breath out through the nose. It feels like a little bellows. So the jaw opens in a very relaxed way and it's drawing the breath in. The jaw closes in a relaxed way and the breath gently comes out through the nose. Notice how it synchronizes with your breath. The jaw opens, the lips stay closed, the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth, draws the breath in, the jaw gently closes, the breath gently comes out. So good to be aware through this. We're going to change the dynamic now. So rather than having the emphasis on the jaw, bring your emphasis to the breath coming in through the nose. As you're breathing in, the jaw gently opens. As you're breathing out, the jaw gently closes. Notice the energy change. Notice it gets a lot softer, more energetic, less physical. So as you're breathing in, the jaw just relaxes, naturally open with it. As you breathe out, the jaw naturally closes with it. Relaxing the back of your neck, relaxing the back of your head, relaxing your whole body. And you may start feeling this very subtle motion and energies starting to move through your whole body. There's no pressure. As the jaw comes together, it just floats. The teeth just float together and just very gently touch. There's no pressure, or they're just slightly separate. As you breathe in, the teeth are separating. As you breathe out, they float together and may just rub against each other very gently, very softly, no pressure, or they just stay separate. Breathing in, the jaw relaxes open. Breathing out, the jaw relaxes closed. If it feels stressful in any way, slow down the breath. Make it a small emotion of the jaw and a soft emotion. If the tongue comes off the roof of the mouth, just breathe for a bit and just put the tongue back on the mouth, on the roof of the mouth. If the lips open, just be aware that that may have happened and allow them to come back together. There's a knack, and once it starts a new modality. Notice you've moved into a new modality. Something has shifted. It starts feeling totally natural. As the chest is opening, the jaw opens with it. As the chest is closing, the jaw closes with it. It just synchronizes with the breath. It starts from the jaw, but once it's all synchronized, then the body just opens, the jaw completely aligned and just moves with it. The body closes and the jaw closes with it. Being aware of your abdomen. As the abdomen is opening, the jaw gently opens. As the abdomen is closing, the jaw gently closes. You can feel it through your pelvis, through your arms and legs, through your hands and feet. It's a bit like every cell starts to breathe. Breathing in, all the cells start breathing. The jaw follows along. All the cells breathe out. The jaw follows. And notice how, in a very subtle way, your face has started breathing through the structures of the face, the cheeks, the eyes, through the cranium. Notice how, in a very subtle way, your brain and nervous system and throat and neck is synchronizing with this breath, and it becomes a whole body experience. But notice how gentle it is. It is deeply meditative and brings you to this place kind of halfway between being asleep and being awake. It takes you into an alternative state of consciousness that feels totally natural. So natural you may not even notice it. It feels like yourself. And there's a connection to the earth. And there's a connection to the higher self. Everything starts to synchronize. All the different parts of you start to breathe very gently, very softly. You may feel energies in your spine. You may feel energies through your brain, through your face. There's a groundedness to it, connects to the earth. Gently breathing with that. You can feel it right down into the pelvis, into your genitalia. You've got the whole potency of the pelvic area that starts to breathe. And from here it releases the Kundalini up through the body. Notice if you become aware of your pelvis, the pelvic floor, the genitalia, the sit bones, the sacrum, the rectum. As you become aware of that area, it starts to release, and that potency starts rising through your body as a healing energy and transforms as it travels up through your body. That can travel through the face and the head and connect through the top of your head to the subtle realms. Everything starts to work. Everything starts to breathe beautifully and softly, synchronize the movement, the energies, the connection to the subtle realms and the earth. It all starts connecting together like a key in a lock just opens the door, and everything moves together. It's good to sink into the sit bones and feel the potency of the sit bones releasing up through your body, however you sense it, whatever you feel is okay. It may be different to what I'm describing. Whatever your experience is the correct experience for you. Notice how the holographic breathing feels as if you're hardly doing it. You don't have to have your attention on it. It just naturally goes along in its own way. Everything is taken care of. It's totally natural. And in about a minute, we're going to start coming back. So gently breathing however feels good, wherever feels good through your body. Make it softer. And when you feel ready, gently allowing yourself to come back.
Thank you, Martin, for the beautiful practice. One thing I noticed, I think you mentioned while practicing this, preferably somebody should be seated or lying down. And I'm standing here, so I had to, as soon as I drop into that relaxed state, I had to wake myself up so I don't want to fall. But I have practiced this on my bed, and I know how relaxing it can be, where you start to drop into an altered state of consciousness. And I'm not a regular practitioner of holographic breathing. This was probably the second time that I am practicing holographic breathing. So thank you for that wonderful guided meditation and intro to holographic breathing.
So when I said it has to be done sitting. That's just for this part we've done today for learning it. Once you've learned it, you can do it sitting, lying down, walking, however you want. It was just so people are there and aware for those first few instructions, because if people get it the wrong way round, or that the mouth is opening and closing, or that, you know, people get it wrong, then it won't work. So it's just through that first bit, but after that it becomes more and more natural, and people just find they're doing it all the time, or a lot of the time.
Thank you so much, Martin. So with that, if people want to learn more about you and holographic breathing, how can they look you up? Do you have a website?
I've
I know
got
you
a,
mentioned something about webinars as well, so please do tell us
yeah,
that again.
I run webinars every Sunday, and I run a free webinar once a month on a Sunday. The next one is on the Sunday after the equinox. The equinox is on the Saturday. We're doing one on the Sunday. I've got a Facebook group called Free Learn Holographic Breathing, where I put videos and always show the webinars there. My website is www.holographic-breathing.com, and there's a webinar page there, and there's videos and different videos how to learn it. And as I say, every Sunday I run the advanced webinars, and as long as you've done this first part, as long as you've done this basic structure and practiced it a few times, then it's also okay to come for they're paid for, the advanced ones. They're £14 for the webinars. But I run free webinars, which are also good. Once a month, people can come to those.
Thank you so much, Martin, for your knowledge and sharing the gift of holographic breathing with the world. Thank you
My
so much.
pleasure. Well, thank you to you, Dhirendra, and thank you for putting this out to your students or fellow breathers. Or
My pleasure, Martin. I'm sure people are going to benefit from your experience and your knowledge. So thank you
Brilliant.
again.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Brilliant.